Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew, and very excited today to have on my channel Paige Hanson, who is the co-founder of SecureLabs. And Paige, probably over, I think, a decade or two of experience. And I'm going to pass it over to you to say a quick hello to the channel and introduce who you are.
Andrew, thanks so much for having me. I have been in some sort of capacity of cybersecurity role almost 20 years, so 2 decades. I don't know. That sounds. I started when I was 12. Okay.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
But my background is, I would say it's like more of a non-traditional role in getting into cybersecurity. I think you often think of very technical people, and while yes, I have some technical abilities, part of what my role has been is cybersecurity communications, communicating that what's technical over here in the business and communicating it to consumers or other business members or partners, whatever it may be. Law enforcement is in my history of educating. And so that is what I have been doing for, about 20 years now.
So fantastic. And I'm glad you're mentioning that. You say non-traditional, but I think it's a great conversation we're going to swing into for this talk tonight, because people think of cybersecurity or these roles of like they want to get into cybersecurity and they think of 3 roles. I think it's like they want to be a hacker, they want to be an IT help desk, or they want to be like a SOC analyst. And there's so many different other avenues that we're going to obviously get to talk about tonight. And so, yeah, I'm super excited, and we'll kind of go ahead and get started with our first question.
Great.
Which always my favorite, because it's just a fun thing to reminisce to. So back in kindergarten, back when we're growing up, right? You get the golden question, like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we draw spaceships, astronauts, firefighters, veterinarians, police officers. But obviously, yourself and we decided to get into cybersecurity. And that's not always a traditional path that some people want to get into. So can you kind of share your story of what made you get interested in cybersecurity, into this role that you're in today?
Yeah. And if I think back at that question, birth kindergarten, I think you hit a couple of those, being a teacher, being in law enforcement. I had this, I wanted to be in law enforcement too. So the fact that actually my background then when I joined, so I was one of the first employees at LifeLock, and it was this itty bitty company, didn't know if it was going to take off. Well, now it's, the Kleenex of tissue. When you think of identity theft protection, you think of LifeLock. So it was really cool to be there for almost 17 years, building out the programs that we were educating law enforcement. So I was on the road probably every other week, and we were educating law enforcement, going into their agencies and educating them on what to look for, how to help victims. Here are the resources. And so that was really cool to see just how they interact with victims and getting to hear and influence how they would help victims. Mm-hmm. But overall, that was just an important part. And then after leaving LifeLock, I joined because I did do quite a bit of work with educating businesses. And it's, businesses, you don't know what you don't know. And if you're a small to medium-sized business specifically, you're wearing so many hats. Yes. I remember the old days at LifeLock. Our CEO was also buying toiletries for the bathroom. It just didn't matter your role. You were just doing all those things. So the last thing you're thinking about is compliance or what I can do to help protect the data. I'm worried about getting customers, a marketing plan, those sort of things. And so starting SecureLabs was really cool because I got to work with not only 2 of my co-founders, which I'm big fans of, but building a platform that helps small to medium-sized businesses with this roadmap that they get to say, okay, these are the security certifications that I want to be involved in or want to achieve. This is how you do it. Oh, and if you need help, we're able to help you do that as well.
And I'm glad you said your small, medium businesses you guys also target, right? Because it's just like you think of all your big, huge consumer and those tools that's like CrowdStrike, Microsoft, Google, AWS. Like they work with like organizations that have like hundreds, if not thousands, even like in like the 100,000s of endpoints, users, employees. And you think of the mom and pop shops, and sometimes they don't have plans or they're so drastically expensive because of just the tiers they kind of had being such large organizations. So first off, I think it's amazing that these small businesses have companies like yours as well to reach out to and kind of have those questions and concerns on that they can reach out to and kind of get that help that they need. So fantastic.
Yeah. And I think back to the question about kindergarten, I think both the professions that I was seeking out, or at least thought of as a kid, it was in the realm of helping people. And that is truly what I enjoy, is whether you're educating about cyber safety or identity theft protection, or you're educating a business about ways they can help protect their data, you're helping either the business and or then in turn you're helping people. And so that's really a driver for me. And it's really the core of what I do and choose to do, is making sure that it's helping people.
No, exactly. And speaking of education, obviously, as you mentioned, like with some of the roles, like many hats, obviously, you probably definitely wore with the smaller companies. But with cyber education, it's such an important thing. I think some companies, I don't want to say skip on or miss on, or maybe not invest enough in, but like the employee user training, phishing awareness training, things like that. But some other things that maybe you'd say, like maybe top 3 things that companies should maybe be implementing in their business when you think of cyber education to their organization.
Yeah, I laugh when you say that, because I really think businesses are oftentimes meeting the bare minimum requirements. I mean, if you just think of whether it's cyber risk insurance that requires, annual user security and awareness training, or your SOC 2 attestation, your one cybersecurity and awareness training, it's like, that is the one and done. It just doesn't work, So I love this question, because there has to be ongoing, and if it can be, role-based training.
Yes.
If you're taking a just generic training and you're in finance, you're probably going to be missing the threats that the finance teams need to know about, like invoice fraud or the cloning that can happen. When you need to know those specific things, or if you're on security teams, you might need to know different, or you're a call center employee, whatever it is. And so I think having ongoing and role-based training, and if possible, add in some tabletop exercises and scenarios in there, that's crucial. So to your point, you have to invest further than just the one training.
I did my security awareness training for the year. I'm good. It's like,
and by the way, it's just it's on a platform, and you're just clicking through. You're doing a million other things. You're listening to a podcast. You're just clicking yes, next. And so we don't want that. You want it to be top of mind, and that's part of creating this security first culture. And security culture is that one, you have all this training, so it's top of mind. But when you also then couple that with phishing simulations or social engineering drills, any of those sort of things, I mean, it just becomes top of mind. They know how to report it, the easy paths of reporting. They know the policies, and those are things that companies can implement, and it becomes more top of mind. So it's not like, oh wait, what? We're not sure where to even go.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think now on the head page, like that security awareness training, like some people, I'm not going to say any names myself. Maybe I just put it on mute and just make sure that they go, it says next page. And it
Yes.
So.
Well, because the questions, I mean, as long as you know a thing or two about cybersecurity, I mean, you know where to report, how to report, what they're asking for, So, yeah. And I'm always a huge advocate for bringing in outside speakers. Mix it up, or maybe have lunch and learns. I mean, I've been asked to come into organizations to speak during, whether it's October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Yep.
And there's the holidays, cybersecurity type themed holidays throughout the year. But I love those organizations that prioritize just mixing it up.
Yeah.
And I think it becomes more top of mind then.
People think of like learning. I think they almost like go back to the school days, and it's like, not everyone loves school or like sitting through a class or sitting there just like, it's another, this is a bad email. Can you see why? And it's like, yeah, they get almost complacent, or it's like, yeah, I know this. Like I did this last year, but then here comes the really good phishing emails or the really good phishing texts or targeting of from a bad actor, or the invoice hijacking or third business compromise, business email compromise. And then it's like, this is Joe Schmo from company ABC, and we need to send this $10,000 invoice. Yeah, we usually send about $10,000 every 2 weeks. It's a little early, but yeah, this is good. And it's like, whoa. Like, let's ask the questions. Let's slow it down, and let's really think like, okay, why are we getting this early?
Exactly.
So.
Well, no, and especially, I know I just talked to HR professional, and they were talking about the policies or the processes they have in place that employees can't even they have to go to their portal to change their personal information. If they're having a different bank account or redirecting, maybe they choose a deposit versus a check or change their name or information. They just will not do it. If you contact the HR professional, your HR business partner, they're like, no, you have to go through the portal, because there is so much fraud that they've decided, nope, we are just drawing the line in the sand. So see, even those policies, I mean, they change and evolve over time. So a policy you may have, if your business started 10 years ago, a policy you may have had 10 years ago, you have to keep up with the times as well.
When, I guess a question for we're backtrack a little bit from when you were doing your law enforcement training, was there like a favorite story maybe, or maybe a instance on a department, is what I was looking for, that you got to go work with and kind of like do some really good training that you're like, wow, like that really stood above the rest, is really doing a solid job even before the training started? Or did you kind of realize that, because being prior law enforcement, like thinking about like identity theft and like even cyber crimes that we had happening initially when I was first in the field, like back like 7 years ago, there wasn't really a task other than the FBI cyber task force that you could like, oh, you had to call the FBI because they sent $1,000 worth of Target gift cards and the iTunes gift card money. It's like, hey, you need to reach out to Apple. You need to change your bank info. Like you can reach out to the FBI. But even for like identity theft, like what was that like, I guess, or how was that training?
Yeah, well, where I know where we move the needle as far as value to the communities that we would go into would be more times than not, because I was working at LifeLock, members would be a victim of identity theft, or maybe they were prior victims, and they would call in and they would say, I tried to report this to law enforcement and they turned me away. They said there's nothing they can do about it, but I need a police report, or I need this done. I need this done. Mm-hmm. And so they were being turned away or kind of re-victimized in the whole process of shamed, or, there wasn't the gloves or the care that maybe needed to happen, because you're desensitized when you're in those scenarios. If you're always taking victim reports, you become desensitized that maybe somebody had a credit card fraud victim, and you're like, well, it's only credit card fraud. What's the big deal sort of deal. So I know we've made a positive influence in how they approached and handled victim complaints. All they need to do is take the report. A lot of times, and maybe did you have this in your career where
I did, and I
just needed the report? Oh, I'd love for you to expand on that.
So I'll 100% share this. So things that I would like to do, because just like you said, spot on. It's like there wasn't at least back when I went. Now there's certain IRS statutes and stuff you can do for citing and writing the reports for it. But yeah, it's like, hey, look, like I called my insurance, but they need a police report, but I have no suspect information other than this like weird Telegram or signal number that goes to nothing. It's bad. What I would do is, so we had things called FI, which is called like a field investigation. Mm-hmm. And ideally what it is, it's like hey, I contacted Paige today, and it's like me documenting just our contact. Hey, I spoke with Paige today. She described that she had a phone call with this dude named Charles, who claimed that they were the IRS and she had to get this money sent over through Apple gift cards. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, she determined this was a scam. And blah, blah. I get my 5 W's, who, what, when, why, where, what exactly happened, the dollar amount, things that I can have. And ideally what it pretty much is just like, it comes with a police report number. So like, hey, your police report is 2023 123456. Mm-hmm. And it's just a contact saying, hey, we had contact. I documented this event happening. And that's the best I could really give the victims when those events happen, because there wasn't really a state statute that I could really reference at the time during those sort of crimes. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff with fraud and cyber and stuff that we can now get them new resources to. At least like from what I recall now and talking to some friends who are still in law enforcement. But yeah, that was my go-to. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to document this happened. It will come with a police report number. It's not going to have like a case number assigned to it, but it'll just say, hey, look, this is the police report number of our contact. And that's how I guess I can say I got around getting them a police report number.
And that's half the time, that's all they need, because the lender wants to see that it's been a documented crime, whether it's however that may be. Yeah. And then they can proceed with processing the fraudulent claim or doing their investigation on that side. And so that's where it's almost there was tension there. And so I know providing the victim resources and an alternate and the reason why, because don't we all want to know sometimes the why? If you're just like, we can't do anything.
Why?
Why? So now you know the why they need that number, and then you can have a process internally for law enforcement, or they engage more victim advocates within their law enforcement. Or
Exactly.
whether sometimes it's with the AG's office, Attorney General's office, depending on how that is within a specific state or city. But, then maybe they have more victim advocates available to, maybe they're used to not using those resources for identity theft, but now they are. And then I also think from a law enforcement perspective, I think for so long, if let's say you were patrol, you wouldn't necessarily mind cyber type stuff because you're like, no, that's the finance or the financial crimes guy. Why would I care? Well, if you're a patroller, you're pulling someone over and now all of a sudden you see skimming equipment in their back seat. You need to be able to identify what those things are, or that know that it's a little out of sorts. And so I know that we did in each of the classes a skimming demo where we would modify the track data on the cards and show them how they worked. I had a duplicated card or a skimmed card that I would use at the gas station just to show people that this is how it works. I mean, it was my own card, so I'm sure I'm breaking some law, but it wasn't fraud. But
for
those
educational purposes.
I know I have little
purposes.
educational purposes, but just showing how easily that track data was able to be modified. I mean, now there's safeguards like you have the EMV chip, and then there's the tap pay, but there's still a mag stripe on there which can be easily duplicated. So that was a lot of fun.
Every gas station I ever go to, you'll see me there like
you wiggle.
I'll be scraping, I'll be trying to pull it. I'm like, all right, this seems legit. And I'm like, then I pay. And for those that don't know what a skimmer is, just to educate. So a skimmer is a device that is ideally going to be copying your number or your PIN numbers to another device somewhere else that like almost is capturing your data. It's capturing your data. In a bluff here, long story short. I don't know if you have a better description or if that's kind of basic enough.
Yep. People don't realize that the mag strip data on your credit card is static, meaning if somebody gets a copy of it, it doesn't change. It's not encrypted. It's nothing. So if you ever have to pay with your credit card and you slide it through to pay, the chances of having a compromise of a skimmer just go up dramatically. And then when you start using some of the safeguards they put in place, which would be mobile payment. So you use your phone. I mean, that includes tokenization, the encryption. So you don't have the vulnerabilities like you would a physical card. So there's definitely some good, better, best ways to pay. And skimmers would be one of those where they're still out there. Still out there.
Yeah, I think I follow a YouTube channel where I'll be going through shorts and like a lot in California. And you'll just see someone in a gas station like, oh, this is a skimmer. And they just yank it off. They're like, hey, heads up, call your manager. Or I'm going to give this to the police. Like, oh, you broke that. No, I didn't. This is bad.
This is bad. Well, I think I want it too bad to have a skimmer fall off. I mean, for years, I've just been wanting a skimmer to just be on a gas station pump for me, but it hasn't happened yet. But I really think it's because I want it too bad to happen to me.
Yeah. Fun rant about skimmers, but still.
Yeah, anyway.
About. So,
I digress.
Well, full circle back to, in a sense, kind of compliance still. And this is a good portion too, I think, for the education portion of things.
Yeah.
So I'd say GRC is kind of your bread and butter, and you're really solid on that information, which I honestly am trying to get better at and strong in myself, because I work with a lot of our GRC teams across a lot of the organizations I've worked at, but never specifically like a GRC analyst or in the GRC team role. So can you kind of just explain the importance of why GRC is so important on an organization, and then recommendations for someone maybe looking to get into that field, like for training, certifications, or what they should be looking for to do on their resume to become a GRC analyst? I know a lot all packed into one question.
Yeah. Well, let's start with GRC. So GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. Sometimes they're in a company, they're in one department. Sometimes they're spread out throughout the organization. They can be under different parts of your organizations. But basically what you're doing is making sure that you're following the guidelines for your industry. The industry is going to be different for every industry, but there are, if you're a publicly traded company, if you're a startup or somewhere squishy in the middle, it's all going to be used for that reason. But then there's people that, the certifications that you might get as a company, not as an individual, but there's the SOC 2 attestation report where a lot of companies will get that. And what that is doing is you're telling the outside world, your customers and your partners, that we take data and security seriously, And there's a baseline requirements that you have to comply by. That is audited by an external auditing company to say and validate, yes, they are indeed doing these best practices. But asterisk here, you are doing the baseline. And I think there could be an entire conversation for your channel about SOC 2 and these certifications on whether or not they indeed mean that you're secure.
That would be video number 2. We'll definitely have to talk about
I know.
That would be a fun conversation, actually.
I think so too, and actually more of like a panel around just to people's different perspective. But I think it's a really good start. It's a baseline. It's a foundation. If you don't know where you even want to start, following a NIST cybersecurity framework or following the SOC 2 framework is a really great place to start, because at least you're segmenting your data, or at least proving it. You have network diagram, you've got your onboarding and offboarding policies and procedures. So with that, you have a number of certifications, and I'm not super well versed in all of them, but there are certifications that you can get depending on your organization. They may even require you to have them. A lot of people get their CISA certification, or the CISP, they get that as well. But there are requirements. Like, so with your CISP, I think you have to be in the position for at least 5 years, and then you can start taking the tests. And so it depends on what you want to do and what you're aspiring to do, on what certifications you might go down the road and get.
No, 100%. Yeah. Cause I think ISC 2 has the CISRA, or not the CISSP, but like it's a compliance one. I know I've seen that one, but that's like, I need to do more research on it, but that's like the only GRC, like when I look for GRC certification trainings, there's like more of like the very specific, like maybe like it's like a GRC tool, or like a company that's like, they have their own internal certifications you can get like for GRC, but that's my homework that I also need to kind of look into more when it comes to like the certification path of it. Cause like for pen testing, there's pen test plus, OSCP, like all that stuff. But then it's like, what about GRC certs? I'm like,
See, and I'm more thinking, I'm like, with anything, I don't think you don't necessarily have to have the certification to do GRC. It's good to,
because I agree.
Well, because you can do the work. And I actually think I was chatting with one of my friends, Tiara Fitzgerald. She's in GRC at Megaplan IT. And she was just saying, like, was almost recruited to GRC because she is so sociable. But also she's very technical as well. So to be able to talk to people and get the information needed, and then also put it in the plan and being an organized person, it helps. So that's another thing. If you're looking for GRC, because you are working, well, depending on how your business is set up, you're either working internally. And so you're making and building those relationships internally. Like you mentioned with your role, you're gathering the evidence for a specific portion of the SOC 2 report or requirements. And you're probably working with somebody internally at your job that it's nice if they're lovely, right? We need
this now. I'm like, all right, I'm taking my time on this compared to hey, Andy. Yeah, so 100%.
If they're building a relationship. So those are sort of qualities that, if you want to get in cybersecurity and maybe presenting and being in front of the crowd isn't your thing, well, GRC might be a really good spot for you.
Yeah, it's funny, Paige. Like I mentioned, like the skills and everything coming out of like our seniors and our junior folks graduating college, breaking into cyber. It's not that they're not technical and they're not smart and they're not like wicked good hands-on keyboard. Just it's some of the soft skills that I feel like they have. There's a slight struggle, not with all, just some. Like I was at CactusCon this year, and I got to most of the time spend my time in Career Village, and I was doing mock interviews and doing resume reviews. And I'd have conversations with folks of like, hey, explain to me a time that you struggled on a project where it really challenged you. And I had a few folks like, oh, I've never struggled. I'm like, not the answer I'm looking for. That's great confidence. I'm like, an organization, when they ask these kind of questions, they want to hear a time you have struggled. So, I mean, I had to kind of give some positive, negative feedback. Hey, look, like that's awesome. You haven't yet, but you really need to kind of self-reflect and just think of a time that even if you were struggling or had to bang your head for like 5-10 minutes, like, oh, you know what? I was really stuck on this one thing. I had to take a step back, do some research. They just want to see your methodology of how you would resolve a problem.
Exactly.
So, But yeah.
Well, that's really cool that you do that, because that's extremely valuable, because like you said, those soft skills are sometimes overlooked. I mean, we'll get questions, and my involvement with women in cybersecurity, a lot of the questions will become they're either entry-level position, people seeking entry-level positions, or they're just right out of college and kind of deciding which path that they want to go. And it's, what certifications should we get? What should we do? And so there is mentorship there, but we often say, it just depends on what you want to do, because certification stacking also doesn't add to, you can have all these certifications, but you've never done the work.
Mm-hmm.
So, what
Yeah.
you're kind of in a predicament there, that you go, great, you've got all these certifications, but then hands-on experience you don't necessarily have, or maybe don't have the ability to talk to somebody or answer just normal easy questions.
Yeah, I talked to one of my buddies that's over at Charles Schwab as their hiring manager, and he gave a great analogy, kind of like, hey, look, like you could have someone that they both have bachelor's degrees in cyber, but one has their GSEC SAN certification, which is a $10,000 certification. It's great training. Or someone that has their Security Plus, and he will ask them a generic question of like, hey, explain to me how you would investigate a phishing email. And if the person that can answer the question better has that Sec Plus, that's the better candidate. It's not that he didn't spend $10,000 for the training and certification, because he spent $400, got a Sec Plus, but he can retain and understands the material and the knowledge to break down like a full case investigation. So just like you said, I think certification stacking, as much as it can show that you can retain and get knowledge and you can understand concepts, if you don't practice and retain that knowledge and actually try to use it in building home labs, going into like additional training that you can get into, like if you need SIM training, go into Splunk, Elastic, Google Chronicle, try Hack Me, Hack the Box, Pico CTF. There's all these other ways you can kind of get that experience outside of a real world job organization, to where it's like, hey, explain to us the time you've worked on a SIM. Well, I haven't in a real world career because I'm just trying to get into the industry. However, I have my own home lab where I run Splunk or Security Onion or Sumo Logic, or I've done Splunk training and been inside there using SQL queries to know how to build out dashboards. Mm-hmm. And that's how you show the skill. Like, okay, well, they don't have the 3 years of like on a network experience, but they've been doing their own home lab for the last 2 years, and they understand what we're asking. So
right.
Just like you said, like being able to direct that path of where you want to go, and like, okay, well, even though I don't have that experience you're looking for of like, I've been with company X for this many years doing this is what I've been doing on my own, showing that hard work, showing that dedication, showing the skills you're building on your own time to show that you're the best candidate. So
it's huge. And also, if I can also relate that to maybe cybersecurity communications, is maybe they're looking for somebody with experience speaking, and you never held a role that you were a spokesperson for a company or did a bunch of speaking. That's where you can start small. I mean, maybe you have a church group or a civic group or your kid's school, and you're consistently talking, or maybe there's a Toastmasters group or something like that, where you can show that you've been involved and have been doing speaking or training on that. It's a really great gateway into then landing larger speaking gigs, or having the ability to maybe address the company or a larger team meeting, and just starting that way as well.
No, and that's nail on the head, Paige. And I think it's actually great because you mentioned it on this last question, but I'm going to swing into it for mentorship, obviously. Yeah. Knowing when it's maybe time to be a mentor, but then also finding mentors. And obviously you sit on the board at WiCyS, you're a board member with ISSA. So for like our maybe like entry to middle to senior kind of roles in cyber, how would you maybe go about becoming or finding a mentor? And then for those that are in the middle of their career, trying to maybe look for that next challenge, what would you say would be the benefits of finding a board to be an advisor part of, and something like that?
Yeah, so let's address the mentor part. I mean, I have been on a number of panels where we talk about this question, and whether it's a women in cybersecurity panel or just a panel in general. And one takeaway that I really like to make sure we say, maybe there is a time where you cannot find a mentor, because we've been in that position where we can't necessarily find a specific person, or maybe we're too shy or not in this position right now to ask. Okay, well, maybe that's your scenario. I love to be able to find qualities in people that maybe I'm admiring from afar. Maybe they're in a meeting and I like the way that they are so confident in their answers. Maybe somebody is talking and giving a presentation, and I really love the way their style and their delivery, whatever it may be. Find pieces in people that you can either tell them that you're admiring from afar or gathering from afar, or you're at least being self-aware on the qualities that you want to enhance in yourself. So I think that one, you can do that without talking to a specific person.
Yes.
But I do know, so at LifeLock for a period of time when I was there, they had a mentorship program internally. And that was an opportunity for you to either join as a mentor or a mentee. And I think that if there is something like that within your organization, even if you feel like you don't know people or you don't know if you can learn from somebody, join that. Why not? What do you have to lose, right? And I always hear from you asked your question, how do I know if I am a mentee, if I'm in a position, or if I'm a mentor, if I'm ready for a mentorship? And I really think that you have to think of the spectrum of what you know. If we start with like baby, junior, super green, all the way to expert, number 10. Well, if you're a number 1 and you're trying to learn from number 10, they're probably not remembering steps 4, 3, 2, 1 very clearly because they've been up here on this executive level. So if you're somewhere in the middle and you're a 5, you have a lot of value that you can bring someone that's in the range of a 1 to 4. I don't know if my number scenario is
it does make sense. And I actually like how you're doing the analogy of it. Actually, it's going great. So,
well, okay, good. Because I mean, if you're thinking you're in the middle of the road and you're like, what can I teach somebody? It's like, do you know how much you probably you will and can offer the value for somebody that's just starting out and they want to get where you are? And then you have the opportunity then to scale up. And then maybe you're learning from a 6 or a 7 or an 8. Wait until you're up at that 10 because the advice might be just a little different.
No, I love it. And it's like, I'm still in the military, obviously, and I'm a warrant officer, and I'm not a recruiter, not a pitch for the military, but for us as warrant officers, we are trained and told, hey, you guys need to find your replacements. And the reason why that is because even when I was enlisted as an E7, I got great mentorship from my warrants. Like, Andy, you should become a warrant officer. I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe they're like, no, man, you'd be a great fit. You're a great learner. You know how to teach. You're a great trainer. You know the skills. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing. At some point, Paige is going to retire. I'm going to retire. Donna's going to retire.
Yeah.
And if we can't kind of bolster and train and find our junior cybersecurity experts to level up and train and teach and mentor to get to our level of skill, I mean, that's the longer that we have to sit in our positions and keep working. And I don't know about you, but I want that beach and the mojito in hand, relaxing with the fam. So
I agree. No, I agree. And I think that's the whole philosophy under, the servant leadership philosophy, which is, your primary goal as a servant leader is to just, to serve the needs of others, right? And so if you're out there serving the needs of others, finding ways to lift them up, you're a picker-upper, you're a puller-upper, you're those things, that is also going to come back to you positively as well. And so I personally, I align more with that philosophy. It served me well. And so find a person like that if that's something that interests you.
No, 100%. And this then I think lines up to our mid to senior level now when you're trying to really level up to the next level or that next boost, creating your own business. So obviously you are a co-founder of SecureLabs. And as exciting as that can be, that can also be very nerve-wracking, I'm sure, as you're starting a business and maybe in the entry levels of a startup. But like, what's that like? And what was the idea behind SecureLabs?
Okay, I think, yes, you hit the nail on the head this time. I think half the time you're like, yes, boss babe. And then the other half you're like, am I crazy? I don't know which lane I am. And maybe it's a little bit of both. But no, I mean, something that I really enjoyed way back in the day when I was at LifeLock, of being one of the first people there and just seeing all the changes and being part of building the culture and being in the culture. It was so cool to wear so many hats and you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour. So I love getting back to that. And then now building my company the way that I would do it and along with my co-founders. And so what's it like? I think it's challenging, but then rewarding at the same time. But then also getting back to something I mentioned earlier, which is helping people and helping businesses. So finding the need, which would be having a platform for businesses to really understand if you're doing a risk assessment, so where they're vulnerable, but then also putting those place guards in place, to making sure you have a roadmap. So that's the sort of stuff where I love being able to do that. But then I also love the ability to then be flexible enough to go out and do presentations, do podcasts, do conversations where it can have a bigger impact on people than maybe working on my internal politics with my very large company, and then maybe not getting out as much and networking, because it's super important to expand your network and grow your network and nurture your network.
No, and that's exciting. And I think it's like, there's so many more questions I could probably ask you with the not amount of time I have to ask, but we'll definitely have to still link up and talk more.
Yeah.
But getting toward the tail end of our conversation here, I think 2 or 3 more questions for you. Mm-hmm. So what would you say would be what was the most difficult part of starting the business?
Well, I think, if we're getting real here, you go from having just benefits and a consistent paycheck and those sort of things. I mean, that in itself was difficult. I mean, luckily my husband is a great partner and a supporter and all that stuff, so it worked out. But with big risk comes big reward sometimes too. And so it's just for me and my family, it was a conversation of like, can we do this? How long what runway do we have in order to do this? And then what things can we do to supplement the income, or what the schedule that I'm used to, because I'm working some crazy hours sometimes, and what can we do as a team to kind of offset what are normal, I'm using air quotes because what is normal these days? You get it, you have kids, right?
Amen.
So that, and I don't know if it necessarily was personal type of question, but that for me, that was one of the bigger risks and consideration when starting a business.
I love it because it's an honest answer. Like, so Taylor Ramsby, he was part of Rhino Security as a pen tester. He just broke away to start off his own kind of company, and like the same fears, same concerns. Him and I had a great talk. He used to be a pastor, got into cybersecurity, became a pen tester, started building out content. He's now working over with I think Simply Defend with Gerard Auger. And, but it's like the same people think like, I'm going to make my own company. I want to make my own app. I want to make my own cyber business. Yeah. And it sounds so cool and exciting, but then like, it's like, even when when I did my transition from law enforcement to cyber, there's all the what ifs. Well, what if this doesn't work? Well, what if this isn't a good career choice, or what if this isn't a good hop? And so it's like, I think the honesty of just like, yeah, it was a little nerve wracking. There's a lot of what ifs. There were stipulations. There was safety nets set in place. Having that real conversation, I think, is just super important. And it's good to know that, because it's like, I have my own dreams and aspirations of thoughts of what I want to do if I wanted to do a company on my own. But like that, just like you said, benefits. So I'm the sole income provider of my household, obviously. So it's just like, hey, it's either make it or break it. So it's just like, there's so many stipulations that have to fall into place and align. But just like you said, having a good partner or a husband or a wife to be a good balance to the chaos and to be so supportive and confident, I'm sure, is a huge blessing. Yeah. And obviously SecureLabs is an amazing organization and company, because you're still, it's going great. So, so I mean, like, so that's awesome. That's good to hear. So it's very cool.
I do want to add to that, like, if you are thinking of making, whether it's a move, a career change, or a company change, or even going out on your own, it's really important to lay the groundwork while you are still employed or you're doing something. And what I mean by that is, you are going to rely on your existing network or your new network more than you ever would have thought. So right now, if you're not, maybe not active on LinkedIn, or it's not your thing, do it. Start adding people, following people that you're interested in. We met on LinkedIn.
We did.
You know what I mean? It's a powerful tool. Start being involved in organizations like, I didn't even get to the whole board thing, which is WiCyS, Women in Cybersecurity groups. There's so many groups. We happen to be in Arizona, but there's groups in every city, state. There's going to be something. There's online virtual groups, but you are only going to get out of it what you put into it. And you cannot sit there and be like, I haven't met anybody. For sure, you might not find your people the first couple meetings, but you will find your people, but you have to put it out there. So
I'm going to do a shout out to someone that who you introduced me to, and also say their first name, Lana. And Lana gave me the best analogy when I explained to her, asked her kind of like, how should you network, or why is it so important? She's like, you know what, honestly, she's like, not everyone is a extroverted Tigger personality, chatty Cathy, makes a YouTube channel and just talks to random people and throws out a Hail Mary on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm on this channel, you should come talk to me. Not everyone has the same confidence. So she had such a good analogy that she's challenged other students for. You know what? Like even at your college local meetups, or like maybe like a convention or a local meetup, challenge yourself to say, hey, the first month I'm going to go there and I'm going to introduce myself to one person. And then the next time, okay, this time I'm going to shake 2 people's hands I've never met before, and I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm going to switch off and exchange LinkedIn information. And then the third time, really challenge yourself. You know what? I'm going to talk to one of the presenters, or maybe the main person that spoke, shake their hand, introduce myself, offer to buy them lunch or meet with them for lunch for like a short mentoring session and just talk. And I'm like mind blown of how solid of advice that was.
I love her.
For college seniors to grow their network that maybe aren't extroverted. Like that's not their thing, which is totally fine. And I was just like, I mid talk, I'm like, Lana, that was fantastic advice. And it such is. Cause I've known, and you can probably name folks from your career in any of the IT realms of, I knew people that they're like, Andy, the thing I love about you is you make me talk 3 times more than I'd want to talk. The thing I hate about you is you make me talk 3 times more than I want to talk, than I need to talk. And I'm like, here for you, Kyle. So it's just like,
Oh, I hear it. That's excellent advice though. Lana is one of those where, and I love it that you got to talk to her, and I can't wait for that episode. But that's excellent advice, because we're not asking you to go to a conference and then buy the presenter lunch.
Yeah. Like, don't go every week and go do something. Yeah. Don't go every week. I'm going to shake someone's hand every week, Monday through Thursday. I'm going to go shake people's hands. Like, no. Take it slow. Take it slow.
I love that approach. Excellent advice.
Well, Paige, this has been so fun. I have 2 final questions for you. And obviously, it's a huge thank you for coming on the channel. You get some awesome Ginger Hacker swag, which I will send you the link to as a huge thank you for letting me steal some time from you. But what do you like to do when you are not doing cybersecurity, when you're not working constantly? And what do you do to unplug, relax, and uncyber?
Yeah. Well, uncyber for me is running around with a newly fresh 5-year-old. And there's, whether it's the library or doing things, Barbie dream house, all those things. So, very, very hands-on mom over here. So I get to soak that up because they're only small ones. Yeah. Even, McDonald's play place, fine. I get to just follow. I love iced tea. So I just drink iced tea after iced tea. It's just great. But then I also really enjoy hiking. So I had planned in September to do rim to rim, which is South Rim to North Rim. And sadly, the North Rim is on fire and closed for the rest of it. So it's just a big bummer with all of that. We've changed our plans. We're going to do a different hike. So getting outdoors as much as I can. And if it's not during the middle of the day, then it's in the wee hours of the morning, because I just really like to just be outside and be active. And that's me.
Yeah. When it's not 120 degrees.
Oh, I know. It's 107 and it's 7 p.m. It's like, what's happening?
Yeah, that's awesome. My wife's an avid hiker, and I also have a 5-year-old, so I can 100% relate to the Barbies and Barbie Dream House. Yeah. And everything Barbie and nail painting and all that fun stuff. So super cool. So much fun. Yeah. Well, Paige, this was so much fun. I'm so glad we got to connect and chat on the channel. But last but not least, last bit of advice you would give someone trying to break into cyber.
What do people normally say? Well, it's my advice. Just do it.
Just do it. That's literally what people say. Half of the time it's just get into it. Just hit it running. So
and actually start something small. Just get in, get your foot in the door. You can always pivot, see what's great for you. Join a group like WiCyS or ISSA, whatever it is for you, and find your people.
Yeah. And Paige, this has been such a fun conversation. Everyone, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for sticking around. As always, like, subscribe, comment what your favorite part of this was in the comments below. And I will see you on the next episode of Breaking into Cyber.